What's up, my good people? Welcome back to my channel. It's Ali, your favorite eccentric slow man. And y'all, I'm out here in these Bangkok streets getting a little exercise as I promised at my favorite park. My favorite park, y'all. Look at how beautiful it is. To get a little morning exercise in. It's a little cloudy, may rain, but it is expected. It's not a surprise. Let me know if you guys can hear me if you jump on. Probably put my mic on. I'll walk you guys out. This is always worth a view. Nice seating around here. You know, one of the things I love is, yeah, those clouds are ominous. But one of the things I love is being in cities where wellness is the lifestyle, right? So you're constantly going to run into people or be in the presence or in space with people working out, especially outdoors. Even though it's hot and humid, you're still going to experience it. Little tip, I think I just found out. They have these boats. I think these you have to pay for because I think I saw a sign. But at Lupini Park, apparently you can ride the boats, paddle boats and such, for free for like 30 minutes. But the catch, there's always a catch. So y'all see the boats over there? So there's a catch. Gotta have two people. Here they go again, hating on the singles, hating on the solo dolos. All right, I'm gonna get out of this open space and try to get under some tree lining just in case. I got busy next 24, 48 hours, 30 hours coming up. So got a lot going on, but wanted to come on and chat, do a wellness check on my people in the States. How y'all doing? Let's talk about things that we can do, start doing to prepare. Flip it. You guys see me enough. This is Bangkok, y'all. So, but the interesting thing I'm gonna tell you is like, so before I get into all the other stuff, before I book a place, like an apartment, hotel, see, that's the motivation, inspiration I was talking about over there. We don't discriminate. We take motivation wherever we can. So anyway, one of the things I look for is walking areas, parks, and in Bangkok, like just kind of citywide in the main areas, it's a little bit harder to like find parks. You just look for green spaces, right? But their parks be like hidden gems. So interestingly, in the Sukhumvit area, they literally have 3 parks that are they're less than a couple kilometers from each other. Like, because when you cut through here, you can end up over in Lupini Park. Literally is like 1.5 kilometers away, maybe, less than a mile. And then Benchasiri Park, which is a park that I like basically cross the street and in 3 minutes I'm at. It's a smaller park, but it has 2 lakes. People run and exercise and all that there. And again, from here, 1.1 kilometer, 1.2 kilometers. So it's actually really nice um, to have this free entry, just nice perks. So anyway, you guys, trying to get heart healthy again because I have not been so much in the last couple of years, and it shows in my stamina. uh you know and I was talking earlier, I was on Instagram, I was talking about why it's so important to um be heart healthy, especially in these times, because there's so much going on, and the last thing you need is to be stressed. So this is where you get your overload, 120 kilos. There's a cycling ramp. Get all the boats. Inspiration, other people running. I'm not in run mode yet, and I need to put my brace on. But it's actually nice to be out here. Oh, thank you, Reality SMP. One day I may be a big streamer. I appreciate even if one person gets on and one person is inspired, or one person gets some information that assists them. So why don't we do it? Why don't we talk about ways to start preparing in the US? Because this is, I feel like it's gonna have a mix of, disaster, natural disaster response, COVID response, and 1930s, 1865, all of them. First, we got to accept the reality. Second thing, for me and other people like myself, is we got to be, and it doesn't matter what side you're on, be vigilant with yourself about which side you're on. And start preparing yourself. Some people have known to prepare for quite some time. Y'all remember back in the day when we had fallout shelters? So my grandparents had a house in Illinois, and it had a fallout shelter. It's basically a basement under the basement. Which would stand the test if there was a disaster, tornadoes, bombings, any of that stuff. I had bunk beds, areas for pantry, for food, all of that. So let's say the house completely was decimated and just didn't exist. Boom, fallout shelter. You come out like, a new world. Some people have been building them for themselves over the years, because history repeats itself. It's not bound to, it repeats itself. And it repeats itself because there's always a winner on one side. And oftentimes those winners aren't ever satisfied. Those winners are oftentimes egotistical maniacs and are greedy and oftentimes have a morbid fear of sharing, thinking that by doing just a little, not taking just a little, that would have an overwhelmingly positive response for the majority of people. By doing that, they are somehow negatively impacting themselves and their families, right? And I'm not saying don't be rich or don't put money aside and don't like have your stuff together. What I'm saying is when is enough enough. But we also know that realistically, uh, the wealthiest people in the world don't think in terms of empathy, right? And so what that means, you can't change people. All you could do is prepare. So how do we prepare? How do we get on the right side of this preparation? Show you guys from this side. So, like I said, first thing is accept. Acknowledge and accept. Because I think a lot of times we don't believe. That's traffic over there, y'all. We don't believe it can happen. It's not possible. You know? And it absolutely can happen. It absolutely probably will happen. And we're seeing it. Now, can we fight it? Absolutely, we can. Can we mobilize? Can we get enough people to be gritty and say, because it's just as many of us as it is of them, one would think. I don't know. But when you can't dictate what someone else is going to do, you got to prepare your house. So first thing I say is make sure you're saving money. Stop living like ain't nothing happening. Right? Number one. Start saving your money. So, respectfully manage the businesses as much as you can that you support through your spending habits, your activities, so on and so forth. Be mindful of that. And what you're going to find is that's really hard. Like, we could really impart some change in some areas, but can we do everything until we're really willing to say, I'm done? No, it's hard. It's hard to shut everything off, because once you realize how many of them are tied underneath single conglomerates, till you realize that, it's hard to say, okay, well, I ain't gonna support Nestle. Well, you know who Nestle is owned by. You know what else they own. You know, all of these things, right? Y'all, usually this park is nice and full with people in the afternoon. It's gonna be full, but people just come out here and sit. So I think I'm gonna sit in this grass right here. I've already done my full lap, but just to talk to you guys and make it so it's not so bumpy. But being aware of where your dollars are going, where your support is going, you can start to make some impacts there. Secondly, when you start to impact other people's money, impact yours. So one of my tools in my diet, a financial diet, is for every dollar that you take away from one entity, one space where that you're spending, is to put it and double it in another that benefits you. So start saving. And go back to putting the money in the mattress or spread it out far enough. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things I can't physically do because I'm not in the States, unless I have some support to do it, because I'm gone. But these are things that I highly encourage you guys to consider. So determining where your money is going, deciding if you want to take any of that and redistribute it to yourself, to your accounts, to your savings, to your investments. Start creating a plan for how you will support yourself and your family. Make decisions, smart decisions, not all these willy-nilly, will it just happen. There's enough people in the world that are going to do that. But if you're smart enough to be here sitting and saying, what should I do? I think you'd be willing to say, okay, I need to make some decisions that I control as much as I possibly can, because we can control a lot of things. We see the writing on the wall a lot of times. We just don't act, and then we're like dumbfounded when we don't act. Right? Let me know if y'all can hear me. Actually, I have my mic with me, so I'm gonna put it on. Ain't no sense in bringing it and not using it. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Sometimes it gets windy out here. It gets windy out here, and I can't necessarily tell if I can be heard clearly or not. Okay, so those couple of things: putting your money away, start saving your money, start actually, deciding what you can do when and if things shut down. Think about what happened with COVID, right? People lost jobs. People, voluntarily left jobs. People were at home. We were homeschooling our kids, so things can be done. They've shown us, done things to show us how we can survive. If you've got the nest egg that you need by land, I wish it's something that I would have done with my family beforehand. It's not the end. Like, we still, still things that we are heavily looking at. But if you can get some land, get some land. Partner up, get some land. But realistic things that everyday person can do, like I said, is managing where you spend your money, then taking that overspend that you aren't spending anymore. If you're getting coffee every single day, going out getting coffee every day, you spend a minimum $5 a day. So you're spending close to, almost $200 a month, right? Just 100 plus a month. Ouch, God bless America. I don't know what that is that's biting me, but there is something biting me. I think I'm gonna get up out this grass. God, dog it. Yeah, it's time for me. Or it's like a thorn or something in my ankle. It don't matter what it is. I'm up. I only need to get tagged a couple times. I'm good. All right. So, where was I? Putting money away, saving money, redistributing cash. Okay. See, we even be out here. Look at us doing us. I'm gonna go around to the side with some other seats so I can sit down for a minute and chat with y'all. Start stockpiling food. Start putting food away. Instead of going to the restaurant 3 times this week, go once. And the money you were going to spend the other 2 days, go and buy goods that are non-perishable. Your canned goods. You got to be concerned about electricity. These huge prices, we don't think about how much money they cost, right? You might need to turn the refrigerator off because we don't know what's going to happen, especially if states like Texas where we are on the grid by ourselves, right? Nobody's on these grids with us, so we ain't got no financial assistance. All right, so you need to think about those kinds of things. And the last thing I'm going to say for today's chat, is if you have a plan to leave, if you are ready or you're planning on it, or you're like, I'm going at, September, move it up. I'm going January 1st. If you could move it up, move it up. And what that move it up means is it's really start planning. Start planning now, uh, for the expectation of what might happen, right? Because you just never know. So, few things: money management, saving. These are all things we can control. Start carpooling. If you're driving into work every day, start carpooling. See if your job will let you be home base. If you only got one kid or whatever, try to homeschool. Just in general, if you my complexion, I don't know, unless you in a school that you know is doing right, you might need to homeschool anyway. And let me tell you how quickly your kids, I mean, considering they trying to do away with a lot of programs and stuff anyway, shoot, it won't even matter. But your kids can graduate 2 years, 3 years early with homeschooling, because homeschooling is merit based and based on your own acceleration and that kind of thing. Um, and I know for a fact because my grandson homeschools, and I homeschooled him while he was with me for a couple of months. And technically, if he wanted to, if that was like the plan, he could have finished fifth grade, or I think it's fifth grade. He could have finished by December, January. Easy, easy. With 2 to 4 hours a day, he could have finished. And this is how you see like these kids who are getting degrees and or finishing high school at 15 years old and stuff. That's how they're doing it. It's homeschooling. Because the reality is do we need to be in school 8 hours a day? No, the 8 hours a day schedule was put in place to make a way for parents to work. So we created public schools, and you got somebody babysitting your kids all day. So they're extending these hours for your kids to be sitting on their behind all day, a few hours here and there, PE or recess or whatever the case may be, which a lot of schools don't even do anymore. And, oh yeah, it looks like it's about to rain. I think I should head back. Look at that. It's ominous. I'm going to sit underneath this. What you do? So, yeah. So these things were put in place to make it easier for us to work. It's all about, the cycle of money, funneling through and that kind of thing. So you got to create ways for that to happen. People can't do it with kids. Can't afford daycares and things like that. So you got to create places for your children to go, right? So just keep that in mind when you're just like, yeah, but they need to be in school. They got friends. If they can finish their schoolwork in 3 hours and still like have relationships, with friends and stuff like that, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, no, I shouldn't say why wouldn't you do that. If you have an opportunity and that's what you want to do, you can do that. That's what I kind of want to say, because people will be like, well, everybody can't do that. Well, everybody doesn't breathe either. Everybody doesn't do a lot of things, but those who can, there's ways to do it. Put your money aside, stockpile some food, get your connections. It's one of the things that when I'm traveling solo, it is harder to have in some places, but there's networks here. Like if I needed to reach out to a network or some people or even my family and say, hey, I need some help, I need some assistance or something like that, well, I could do that. Get your networks together. Not everybody has access, I get it. But if you have access to people, you got access to friends and stuff, start getting your networks together. Know your calls, who you got, write the numbers down. Don't just have them in your phone. Have some quarters. Keep you some coins that you can go and use public, access stuff. There's just things that you would do in a natural disaster. We got to consider, like we're looking over the wall at places like Gaza and the Congo and Sudan and South Sudan and these other places that are going through, these horrific situations and have been for years in some cases. And we think that that's over there. That stuff can happen just as easily over here. Somebody wants to send a message, they can send a message. All right. So anyway, and we could start it as we have. So just be mindful of those things, you guys. Everybody wants to know, well, what can we do? What can we do? You know, we could talk about it. We can get on, you know, hoorah our Congress for, you know, maybe calling some of these things out. But if ain't nobody taking action that helps you and your family, if you don't know certain steps that you can start to take to at least position yourself, then what good does it do? You know, because then all you're going to do at the end is then sit in and blame someone else because, you know, they didn't do what you could have or should have done for you yourself. There is no depending on who you elected in a natural disaster. In that moment, yeah, maybe if you're trying to get insurance or something, but in that moment, nah. You've got to kind of depend on yourself. So anyway, just giving some thoughts and tips and around what we should do, what we can do for ourselves. And I'm going to start getting out of here, y'all, because the rain is coming. So it's going to hit at some point in time. But if you guys want to know anything about travel, you want to know about Bangkok, please let me know. Asia in general, Southeast Asia, please let me know. I am here for you guys. All right, I'm out of here. Y'all know the drill too. There's a little space in here, Grace.